George Bernard Shaw once stated, "It is the deed that teaches, not the name we give it." Murder and capital punishment are not opposites that cancel out one another, but similars that breed their own kind. This may sound off base, since murderers seem deserving of their own deed. However, since 1973, as many as 130 people have been sent to death row after evidence of their innocence was later found. If 130 people have been sent to death row and after evidence of their innocence was later found, imagine the probability of just one single person being sent to death row but never having been released. The death penalty is a controversial issue, and there are many compelling arguments from both sides. In order to prevent bias, I have examined both pro- and anti-capital punishment sources. Today I hope you will come to agree that capital punishment is not proper retribution against those committing crimes against humans who commit crimes, but as a crime against humanity, and that it should subsequently be abolished. We will address this by first acknowledging its ineffectiveness as a deterrent. Secondly, by examining the costliness of enforcing it. And lastly, and most importantly, the possible execution of innocent people. In the past 10 years, the number of executions has increased while the murder rate has declined. Many say that the drop in the murder rate is due to an increase in executions. However, in a report titled "States with No Death Penalty Share Lower Homicide Rates" by the New York Times, it found that states without the death penalty have lower homicide rates than those with the death penalty. The Times reports that 10 out of 12 states without the death penalty have a homicide rate lower than the national average, whereas over half of the states with the death penalty have a homicide rate higher than the national average. Research reported in Homicide Studies Volume 1, Number 2 of May 1999 actually indicate that executions may increase the number of murders rather than deter murders. When comparing the murder rates in California during its abolitionist and retentionist years, it was found that during the retentionist years, which are earlier on from 1952 to 1967, that homicide rates increased by 10% annually. But during the years without the death penalty, from 1967 to 1991, homicide rates only increased 4.8% annually. In other words, during the years without the death penalty, the homicide rate was 2 times less than those years with the death penalty at an annual rate. If this may not be convincing enough to you, since other factors can also contribute to the murder rate. So let's look at how enforcing the death penalty actually costs significantly more than not doing so. In a report titled "The Budgetary Repercussions of Capital Convictions" by Catherine Baker, an estimate concluded that between the years 1982 and 1997, the extra cost of capital trials was $1.6 billion. These extra costs are managed partly by reducing highway expenditures, but mostly by increasing taxes. In California, the additional cost of confining an inmate to death row, rather than sentencing him to life without parole, is around $90,000 per inmate per year. A new report by the California Commission on Fair Administration of Justice has found that the death penalty costs California taxpayers a total of $137 million per year. The cost of a system which imposes a maximum penalty of lifetime incarceration instead of the death penalty is only $11 million per year. This money wasted on capital punishment could be spent more effectively on violence prevention programs, such as child abuse prevention, drug and alcohol treatment, mental health care, and education. DFP board member Nancy Oliveira published in the San Francisco Chronicle that using the $116 million taxpayers would save on not implementing capital punishment could result in 1,900 new patrol officers, 2,100 new teachers, and over 103,000 students at the University of California. Lastly, let's examine the most important factor in why capital punishment should be abolished: the possible execution of innocent people. As of August 26, 2008, there have been 130 exonerations in 26 different states. According to the American Civil Liberties Union, in an article titled "Stop the Execution of the Innocent," statistics showed that 1 in 7 people sent to death row were later proven innocent. In perhaps the closest case, a prisoner was exonerated within just 48 hours of being sentenced to death. Since 1976, 8 people have been executed despite strong evidence of their innocence. These factors alone show how unreliable and prone to error our justice system can be. In conclusion, we've reviewed many reasons why the death penalty is cruel, costly, and prone to error. Statistically speaking, it does not reduce the number of death penalty-related crimes. It costs more to enforce the death penalty rather than to not. And lastly, and most importantly, innocent people could be executed. Agnes Heller, a Holocaust survivor and professor of philosophy at the New School for Social Research, presents an inherent paradox in capital punishment when she states, "If you support the death penalty and only one single innocent person is killed, and killing an innocent person is murder, then you become murderers, so you also deserve to be killed." This is the paradox of the death penalty, and you cannot avoid this paradox.